We'd like to welcome our podcast audience. Dr. Tom McNeel is with us today, retired superintendent, former superintendent here in Caldwell County, and we're grateful to have you. Wanted to
Thank
let you know that the podcast that we've put together, we've called Learning Together, Conversations with the Caldwell County Schools. We're going to have a number of individuals that we want to have these kinds of conversations with. But I thought the audience would be very interested, first of all, to know how you're doing and what you're doing now.
Well, I'm doing pretty good considering my age and condition. Getting along well, still gardening and lawn mowing and those kinds of things and what have you, but not as near as much as I used to and not near as strong as I once was, but doing okay.
So you were here 12 years as superintendent.
Yes,
What was your career path prior to coming to Caldwell County?
Well, I served 44 years in public education. 32 of those years was as superintendent. I'm originally from West Virginia. Served in 4 different districts up there and also as state superintendent. Then I came to North Carolina on an early retirement program from West Virginia and served in New Hanover County for 4.5 years. And then I came here for 12.5, and best job I ever had, best board I ever had, best people I ever had.
Thinking back at the time that you were here, what are some of the accomplishments that you're most proud of?
Well, I hadn't really thought about those for a while because I think that, first of all, you're only as good as the people you have and the people you hire. And I had excellent staff, excellent principals, and excellent teachers. And I tried to encourage them and make them better. And we were fortunate in receiving several state awards. We established an alternative school for high schoolers and the alternative school for elementary school, which was for those who were behaviorally disadvantaged. And we just did anything that came along that would be helpful to boys and girls. We jumped on it and ran with it, and we didn't think that there were any barriers in our way. We tried to overcome those and look ahead to the future, and I was real proud of our people and real proud of the county.
Certainly, you've left a legacy, and it's probably the highest compliment that I could give an individual is to say you can still see your fingerprints on a lot of the work that was done, not just in Caldwell County, but I think statewide. You're held in very high regard and highly respected, and that speaks to what you've done with your career, and I'm proud to be associated with you. I don't know if you recall Ken Jenkins at Appalachian State. I was a doctoral student in his program, and we were looking for internships, and he connected me with you, and I had the opportunity to come down and spend a semester one day a week to do some work, and who would have ever thought that our paths would come back together like they have?
Well, I want to congratulate you not only for that good internships, but also for your career and being superintendent in the state of North Carolina last year. It's quite an accomplishment, one I didn't accomplish, and I'm real proud of you and proud of the school system and what it's doing now.
Well, like you said, that's a product of great people around us, and I'm certainly the benefactor of that as well. You mentioned being in a number of places professionally, stops that you've made. What do you recall just about Caldwell County? Not so much the school system, but the community, the county. What do you take away and remember from that?
Well, first of all, let me say there's no harder working people than there are in Caldwell County, and there's no better people, and they're people of their word. I bought a used Toyota car that had been wrecked from a fella here in the county, running his own private business. He'd reconditioned it. He said, now, if you ever have any trouble with it, you come back and I'll take care of it. Well, the transmission went out on it about 6 months later. I brought it back to him. He fixed it, didn't charge me a thing, was glad to do it. He was a person of his word. Didn't have any contract, no guarantee or anything else. And people are like that in the county, and people are good within the churches and within the community itself. The Board of Commissioners were great. The Board of Education was the best board I ever had. And I just can't speak highly enough of folks in Caldwell County.
Well, I tell folks the value of having a good board, and I don't know that you really recognize that or understand it until you're around a board that's not functioning very well. And we've been blessed for a long time. But I think that extends to commissioners and then just folks in the community. I've never been in a place that supported public education as much as Caldwell County does.
Well, we tried to maintain communications with the commissioners, with the Chamber of Commerce, with the business leaders in the county, and with others that were involved and interested in education. And one of the first things I did is to establish a task force, a blue ribbon task force, I call it, of all of them were independent business and people within the community, just persons of business and persons of interest in the education, but not educators. And we gave them a task of looking at all of our programs in general, the general nature of our programs, and finances and food service and other things, and having them to inquire and learn, but also to give us recommendations. And it took about a year. Alec Bernhardt was the chairman of that committee and did a great job. But we implemented many of those, and some things we couldn't do, but many of those things we did. But they got involved, and you keep people involved. They have a allegiance to the program and to the system, and they want to help you along the way, and they did. And anything we asked for, we always were able to get that satisfied.
Well, during your tenure as superintendent, particularly here in Caldwell, we saw the demise of the furniture industry, at least as it was for a number of years.
Yeah.
What was your role and what was the emphasis there on the workforce development when furniture was no longer a major player like it had been in the past?
Well, I left I retired in 2006, and much of the furniture industry was still here, but it was gradually going away in respect to that, and you could see the writing on the wall, perhaps, in respect to that through the community college, and we had, and I know you still maintain close relationship with the community college. We established the Career Center at the community college and built a new facility for that, for them to use during the evenings and us in the daytime. And, of course, the early college was started at that time, and those things did a great deal, I think, to build a group of students that were able to look in other industries and businesses and workforce development, but also in terms of looking more toward college and higher education and through the community college or otherwise. And I think it was good to move in all directions that we could.
And we're reaping the benefits of that now for sure.
Well,
Seeds were planted, and I think it was well thought out, and now we're able to do some things that are yielding some fruit. On the set with me is Nathan Pope, and Nathan is our Chief Information Officer, replaced Libby Brown.
Right.
But Nathan was a student when you were here as a superintendent. Nathan, you have any questions?
Sure. I mean, I was, you said 2006, so I was just starting middle school whenever you retired. But I'm curious, the way the school system has obviously changed. The landscape has changed quite a bit since
Right.
you retired. So what is something that has happened in the time since your retirement that really impressed you and you thought was a really great movement or transition for the school system?
Well, my wife and I lived in Carolina Beach when I was superintendent in New Hanover County. We maintained our condominium down there and had a renter that stayed the whole time we were up here. And we told her we were coming back probably, and so she built a home, and we moved back to the beach and sold our house here. And then we moved to Waynesville, or near Waynesville, in a little place called Bethel. After that, to be next to my one of my children and my grandchildren. And so I haven't really kept track pretty much what's going on, other than just occasionally. I've made a point in all the places I've been that I never interfere with those that succeed me. I don't want to tell them what to do or how to do it or those kinds of things. So I really haven't kept track, other than to know that things are going well, scores are good, leadership is great, and still have a wonderful school system and getting better.
What's a piece of advice that you would give to current administrators in education?
Well, I think that one thing I would say is that it takes a whole school to be a good school. You can't just be the leader and not include in the decision-making all of your people. And I tried to do that here we had a teachers' council and a student support council that met monthly, and I got input from all those folks. And if you got to seek input and listen to them, and you got to hire good people, that's the first place. You got to find the people you need that you're comfortable with, set high expectations, and then ask get them to live up to those expectations and be fair with them and treat them right, and they will respond. And people always are able to do more than they think they can do. And I try to, I don't want to say load them up with everything they could do, but you're always able to do more than you think you can do if you put your mind to it, if you believe in yourself and you believe in the system, and you believe in those that you're serving.
One thing that I do remember as a student, whenever you were superintendent, is that you were not, for lack of a better way of explaining it, you were not a mysterious figure. Students throughout the county knew who Dr. McNeel was. We knew your face. You were in our classrooms.
Right.
We had met you before. What do you think? And that's something that Dr. Phipps, maybe he took from you. I'm not sure, but he likes to be in the classroom. He likes for people to be able to have a word with him. So why was that so important to you, to make sure that you were part of the community, you were part of the public, you were in the schools?
Well, I think it goes back when I was a teacher, 60 years ago, that our superintendent came to visit, and he always said hello. He always, with me, he said, "When are you going to get your master's?" Every time I saw him, he urged me to get a master's degree, and he got to know me, and I got to know him, and the assistant superintendent, and whoever was with him, and respected. And I always felt that it was important for me to be in the schools, hopefully one day a week, and I set aside as much as I could a goal of visiting every school every year for at least one day, full day. And we visited every classroom, talked to every teacher, and all those kind of things. And then I had a meeting with them after school, and I thought those types of activities were great for me as well as for them, because I learned from them. I could see things, and people would go. I'd see them in the classroom, or they'll talk to you when you're not in your office. When you're out there, they'll say, "When are you going to do this? What's the matter with this?" Those kinds of things. And I thought that was one of the better things that I did, really.
My favorite way to close out this podcast, because the name is Learning Together, I like to hear what you've learned recently. So tell us about something that you've learned today, yesterday, in the recent week that you think would be good to share with your community.
Well, I had a stomach bug for 2 days, so I've learned that's a terrible thing. But I'm feeling better, thank goodness. But I learned something about every day, either on the TV or with the wife or with family or church. And I have a young man who's a senior in Pisgah High School that works for me about 12 hours a week, 10 hours a week, just helping me out with other various things. And we learn together, and he's taught me a lot. And and I'm trying to teach him a few things too. But learning is important. We never are too old to learn.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. I can't thank you enough for the great things that you've done for me personally, but also in this county. So thank you, sir, for everything, and we look forward to meeting with you again.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.